tonight on First at 9 this Monday the 21st of July 2025. Clarification. Spokesperson for the Colombo Archdiocese, Father Cyril Garmini, clarifies that Father Jude Krishanta's call for the death penalty for former State Intelligence Service Director Nilanta Jayawardena does not reflect the Catholic Church's official stance. Affirms that any and all punishment lies in the sole authority of the judiciary. Oil diplomacy. Sri Lanka eyes importing crude oil from the US, aiming to reduce the trade deficit and secure further tariff concessions. Steps have already been taken to obtain crude oil samples for evaluation, confirms the CPC chairman. Economic roadmap. President emphasizes the importance of relief measures in the 2026 budget despite fiscal constraints. Discusses the importance of creating an investment-friendly environment with IMF delegation.
Ada Derana 24.
Marking a milestone. Ada Derana 24, Sri Lanka's first ever 24/7 news channel, celebrates its 11th anniversary.
Men, This is Ada Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, you're joining First at 9 on Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Ada Derana. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. We begin with your top story this evening. Spokesperson for the Archdiocese of Colombo, Reverend Father Cyril Garmini, today clarified that the statement made yesterday by Reverend Father Jude Krishanta, suggesting that former director of the State Intelligence Service Nilanta Jayawardena must be sentenced to the death penalty, does not reflect the stance of the Catholic Church. Speaking at a press briefing today, Reverend Father Garmini reiterated that the Church's stance has consistently been to seek the complete truth regarding the Easter Sunday attacks, with the judiciary bearing full responsibility for determining any punishment.
The National Police Commission recently decided to dismiss from police service Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police Nilanta Jayawardena, who served as Director of State Intelligence during the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks. This decision follows the outcome of a disciplinary inquiry conducted on the directive of the Supreme Court, where Jayawardena was found guilty on all charges levelled against him. Convening a press briefing yesterday, the Catholic Church formally articulated its stance on the matter.
Nilanta Jayawardena is the chief suspect responsible for the Easter Sunday attacks. We urge three governments over 6 years to file legal action against him in court. I think that an intelligence chief who failed to act on prior intelligence which could have prevented the attack must be given the capital punishment.
However, several parties raised concerns regarding Father Jude Krishanta's statement, in which he called for capital punishment for the Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police. The Catholic Church clarified its position on Jayawardena's dismissal at another media briefing today.
We acknowledge and appreciate the disciplinary action taken against Nilanta Jayawardena. However, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry recommended that criminal proceedings be instituted against him. That recommendation has been directed to the Attorney General. We urge that all such recommendations of the Commission be fully implemented. At a press briefing yesterday, Father Jude Krishanta expressed his personal view that Nilanta should face the death penalty for his negligence. However, he made it clear that this was his individual opinion and not reflective of the stance of the Catholic Church. I wish to reaffirm that the Catholic Church does not endorse such a view. The Universal Church remains firmly opposed to the death penalty in principle. Our consistent position is that the entire truth concerning the Easter Sunday attacks should be uncovered, and that is the sole responsibility of the judiciary to decide on any punishment. Father Jude Krishanta, who is currently in Kandy, has requested that I convey this clarification and has expressed regret of his statement.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Yadia, lower වැඩියෙන්ම අලෙවි electric scooter Avance Auto Within.
The government has turned its attention to importing crude oil from the United States, aiming to reduce the trade deficit and secure further tariff concessions. Chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, DJ Rajakaruna, said steps have already been taken to obtain crude oil samples for evaluation.
On April 2nd, the US President Donald Trump announced new reciprocal tariffs targeting nearly 100 countries. As part of this initiative, a 44% tariff was initially imposed on Sri Lanka. However, following diplomatic negotiations, the Sri Lankan government succeeded in reducing the tariff to 30%. The new reciprocal tariffs are scheduled to take effect on August 1st. In response, the Sri Lankan government began fresh discussions with the US officials last week to further reduce these tariffs. Against this backdrop, the government's focus on purchasing crude oil from the United States is seen as a strategic move to help balance bilateral trade.
We have taken steps to bring in samples of WTI crude oil from the United States. If these samples pass our evaluation process, US suppliers will have the opportunity to participate in our tender process. Under that process, we plan to purchase crude oil from the supplier offering the most competitive price. Through this initiative, we aim to reduce the trade deficit between Sri Lanka and the United States while securing a more advantageous position for the country.
Apico Next Gen. Make the leap to faster sleep.
President Anura Dissanayake met with representatives of the International Monetary Fund led by Mission Chief for Sri Lanka Evan Papayogiu today at the Presidential Secretariat. Discussions focused on ongoing collaboration under the Extended Fund Facility. President Dissanayake emphasized the economic stability the country has achieved and pledged to accelerate the program, aiming to propel the nation forward by seizing new global economic opportunities. He also briefed the IMF delegation on the current economic challenges facing Sri Lanka and highlighted the importance of including necessary relief measures for the public in the 2026 budget despite fiscal constraints. Further discussions addressed the importance of creating an investment-friendly environment, including the provision of facilities and tariff concessions to attract foreign investors. The IMF representatives commended the government's commitment to agreed to continue providing support for Sri Lanka's economic recovery and growth. Former Ministers Mahindananda Alutgamage, Nalin Fernando and former Sports Ministry Secretary, retired Major General Nanda Malavarachi, who are currently serving prison sentences for misappropriation of public funds, were formally indicted before the Colombo High Court today. The indictments relate to a pending case under the Public Property Act, which accuses them of importing carom boards and tarpaulins via the Sri Lanka Sports Federation during the 2015 presidential election and distributing them to sports associations to secure political favour. During today's proceedings, the court granted bail to all three defendants, setting cash bails at 100,000 rupees and two sureties of 2 million rupees each. The court directed that any preliminary objections be filed by September 4th. Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa claims that the government aims to provide housing for low-income individuals, enabling them to contribute to the country's economy. He made these remarks during an event in Kalutara today.
The program to disperse the first 150,000 rupee installment of a 1 million rupee grant to 111 beneficiaries in the Kalutara district under a government's housing initiative was held today at the Kalutara district secretariat under the patronage of the Minister of Urban Development, Construction and Housing, Anura Karunatilaka. Minister of Health and Mass Media Nalinda Jayatissa, along with several other ministers and parliamentarians, also participated in the event.
This year we plan to provide 2,845 houses under this program, and we have allocated 3 billion rupees for this installment. We have allocated 2.5 billion rupees specifically for this housing initiative. In addition, we have allocated another 1 billion rupees for a loan scheme targeting government employees. By the end of this year, another 2,000 houses will be handed over to the public. An Indian funded program is also being implemented to support plantation workers. We have allocated 276 million rupees for this initiative, which continues with the assistance of donations of the Indian government. Under this program, we will provide around 1 million rupees per recipient. However, our aim is to support the construction of houses valued at approximately 1.5 to 2 million rupees. It is a concerning situation that around 10 to 13% of the population lacks adequate housing. If a person has to dedicate the majority of their life to building a house, they cannot effectively contribute to the country's national production. What we are trying to do here is remove the barriers faced by low-income families so they can contribute meaningfully to national development. By empowering you to contribute to the economy, you can build a better home and uplift your family's well-being through your skills and determination.
Deputy Chief Prelate of the Askeri chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Anamanduwe Sri Dhammadasi Thera, passed away early this morning at the age of 67 following a heart attack while receiving treatment at a private hospital. The late Thera's remains were taken to Lianagastana Purana Vihara at 4 p.m. today, where the public may pay their respects until 3 p.m. tomorrow. From tomorrow evening until 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, his remains will lie in state at the Askeri temple. The final rites with full state sponsorship will take place at 2:30 p.m. on Thursday at the Askeri Police Grounds in Kandy. Today is an important day for all of us here at Derana 24. 11 years ago, Sri Lanka's first and only news channel was launched, redefining news reporting in Sri Lanka with the birth of Derana 24. Our impartial news reporting has earned the trust of the people as we continue to adhere to high standards. Here's a look at our journey so far.
Derana 24.
On July 20th, 2014, a historic chapter was written in Sri Lankan media. For the first time in our country's broadcasting history, the people received a dedicated 24-hour news channel, Derana 24. From day one, Derana 24 set the benchmark for credible, fast and comprehensive reporting. News and current affairs, politics, sports, education, arts, religion, health and more brought to the people first and better. Through 7 hourly updates and 4 main newscasts every single day, Derana 24 became more than a channel. Derana, not stopping at headlines, opened new doors to understanding the world with powerful programs such as Big Focus, Global Angle, Talk with Chatura and the thought-provoking To The Point. We celebrated culture through Art Week, connected with the community through Vanitha Varuna and guided the next generation with Derana Education, a platform that kept children learning through the most difficult times. We began as a trusted news brand, evolved into a 24/7 media powerhouse with Derana 24, changing how a nation consumes news.
Derana. This is Derana First at 9.
In 2017, Derana made history again, launching its premium English news bulletin, delivering global stories and national updates in a bold, authoritative voice. A daily news bulletin at 9 p.m. followed by world news covering world affairs and nightly business report featuring corporate and business affairs are telecasted through Monday to Friday.
A very warm welcome. You're joining us at Hyde Park on Derana 24.
At Hyde Park, Derana's internationally recognized flagship English program, hosted by award-winning journalist Indivari Amuatha, airs weekly featuring big names relevant to news, current affairs, politics and diplomacy.
Don't underestimate Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka's location, Sri Lanka's people, and Sri Lanka has always punched above with weight in international.
The dedicated English program's lineup features Get Real, a weekly opinion show delving into issues affecting Sri Lanka and state of the nation, covering an array of topics, is hosted by Mahesh Johnny. Gen XYZ, Law, Land and Liberty, Derana Spotlight, The Public Square and Showbiz Tonight are key programs dedicated to English language audiences.
Sati, awaken to the present.
Providing focus into mindfulness and self-exploration, the program Sati brings to our audiences featuring monks, yogis, meditation masters and spiritual thinkers from across traditions.
කොහොමද දැනුනේ මේ බුද්ධ ධර්ම ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕනේ පැවිදි ජීවිතයට එන්න ඕනේ කියලා දැනුනේ කොහොමද?
මම පොඩි කාලේ සිංහල පාන්සලට ගියා. මම දැක්ක ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේලා මිනිස්සුන්ට කොහොමද උදව් කරන්න උපකාර කරන්න කියලා ධර්මයේ තුලින් මට හිතුණා මම උන්වහන්සේලා වගේ වෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා.
Buddha stood against the rituals. He said no, none of these rituals. But the basis of all this is whether it is Shaivism, Buddhism, any other Vaishnavism. The basis of it is humanness.
Initially available only via dialogue and pure TV, Ada Derana 24 expanded into the free-to-air space, ensuring that every Sri Lankan home with nothing more than a basic antenna could tune in. Ada Derana also pioneered mobile journalism in Sri Lanka, empowering journalists to report from anywhere, anytime, with just a phone in hand. Our awards and accolades are a testament to our proud story, but your trust and loyalty are what truly matters. Starting today, Ada Derana Morning begins at 6:30 AM on Ada Derana 24, bringing you fresh energy, big stories and a powerful start to your day. We started the Ada Derana brand with the inauguration of the TV Derana channel. I like to acknowledge the founders of the network, Dilip Jayavira and Waruni Amunugama. Dilip Jayavira had a vision to change the television landscape of the country, to create an independent news network without the influence of investors. Under that vision, we started the Ada Derana news brand in 2005. Dilip Jayavira contested the recent presidential election. That was a good test for everyone. Most said that Derana will collapse after that, but we were able to show that investors and our brand are two separate things and that we work for the country. We demonstrated it during the election as well. We have become the most trusted news source in the country. We use the best technology in the world. If we take our newsroom, it is a fully automated news studio. There is no difference technology-wise when compared with international news sources. We are creating content. The public can consume it through any form of media they want. That is not an issue. If you take Ada Derana, it is at the forefront of all these social media platforms. Our next step and plan is to expand it from Sri Lanka to the international level, at least to the regional level. That is our aim. As we mark 11 years of Ada Derana 24, we remain as committed as ever to our purpose to inform, empower and stand by the truth.
Sri Lanka's news channel.
Welcome back. The Colombo Bourse closed on a mixed note today, with price gains in counters such as DFCC Bank, Central Finance Company and Cooperative Insurance Company. The benchmark all share price index climbed 0.37% to settle at 19,044.08 points. The more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 declined by 0.15% to end at 5,646.99 points. Market turnover crossed 5.3 billion rupees. The diversified financial sector was the top contributor to turnover, followed by the capital goods sector. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net sellers, offloading shares worth 191 million rupees. Analyst at Capital Alliance, Reshan Samarakon, joins us now with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
The domestic stock market rose throughout the previous week. The S&P SL20 rose 0.46% from 5,629 to 5,655. The ASPI rose 0.72% from 18,838 to 18,974. In addition to the index performance, market turnover decreased by 19.96% to 7.601 billion rupees. Furthermore, the government raised 85 billion rupees last week through treasury bill auctions, where interest rates increased for 3-month, 6-month and 12-month bills by 6 basis points, 7 basis points and 5 basis points respectively. Furthermore, the market direction is broadly expected to be shaped by the upcoming monetary policy meeting on the 23rd of July.
That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.